Thank you for attending today's New York City Department of Education's Beyond Access Forum. This event is brought to you by the DOE Division of Specialized Instruction and Student Support and the Office of Digital Inclusion and the New York City School Library System. Special thank you to all of our partners. Be sure to visit their booths throughout the day. I'd like to take a moment to remind everyone to log into the Conference Hub using the link sent in your confirmation email. Once you're logged in, you can visit a partner booth to learn about their offerings, network with all of today's attendees, gain access to the conference resources via the resource section of the hub. You'll also be able to enter our Passport to Prizes. Throughout the Conference Hub, you'll find several buttons to enter yourself into our Passport to Prizes. Each time you find a button and fill out a form, you will earn one entry into the raffle. All entries are eligible for a series of prize drawings. Only one prize per participant. We'll announce the winners at the end of the conference during our closing remarks section. Before we begin, I'd like to cover a few housekeeping items. If you have any questions for the presenters during the session, please submit them through the Zoom chat feature. You'll have the option to turn on closed captioning by clicking Show Subtitle within your Zoom console. Be sure to use the conference hashtag NYCSchoolsInclusion in your social posts. Once I stop this screen share, I'll drop in a link for you folks to fill out a form for CTLE credit. Please join me in welcoming today's speakers.
Thank you so much, Navi. So folks, if you've been with us all day, this is our final session on the special education deep dive. Today, at this session, we're going to be talking about assistive technology and blended and remote settings. And today we have the dynamic duo from the Center for Assistive Technology. We have Lindsey, and from District 75 Tech Solutions, David. So thank you both for working together to pull this presentation together, and thank you everyone for joining. Lindsey, David, over to you.
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. So I'm Lindsey. I'm the speech language pathologist for the AT team. David, take it away. Introduce yourself.
Thank you, Lindsey. Thank you, Jose. Thank you, everyone, for hosting this event. My name is David Carroca. I'm the Assistive Technology Coordinator for District 75.
And since we're the AT team, everybody take out your smartphones. If you have an iPhone, open it to the camera and go on the QR code and you will get our presentation. It will open up in Safari. And if you are on an Android phone, you can do it through the Google app Lens. I'll give you a couple of seconds. And if you can respond, if you're in the chat, whether you're able to get the presentation, so Jose can tell me to move on.
Thanks for the feedback, everyone. Looks good, Lindsey.
Okay. So today we're going to talk about how to understand the relationship between assistive technology, instructional technology, and universal design for learning. You're going to become familiar with the assistive technology process, when AT should be considered and or when AT is needed. And you will be able to identify 3 tools, instructional and or assistive technology, to support students. So the New York City, the agenda we're going to talk about is the NYCDOE Assistive Technology teams, AT, IT, and UDL, which I said those are the acronyms. How the DOE supports, how we supported during remote learning and we are continuing to support assistive technology consideration, assessment, and support. AT teams during remote and blended learning, and our AT toolkit. We'll talk about communication, reading, writing, math, and executive functioning, and we'll show you some tools, and then the wrap up. So the central AT teams, together the 2 teams carry out the DOE Assistive Technology mission, and the Center for Assistive Technology. We service preschool, charter, non-public, and districts 1 through 32 schools, students ages 3 to 21, and D75 Assistive Technology team services the specialized public schools, home and or hospital instruction.
Okay, so let's talk about the relationship between instructional technology, or use of computers, tablets, software, smart boards, tools, the technology tools that enhance the learning environment, both in the classroom and at home. Assistive technology, where the focus is on identifying the individual needs of students and the specific tools that they may require to access the curriculum. And universal design for learning, or UDL, where the focus is removing the systemic barriers to instruction for all students. So this is a good visual representation showing the difference between IT, AT, and UDL. The baseball game is synonymous with the curriculum. In picture one, or the instructional technology approach, the crates equal students receiving the same technology. Everyone is treated equally. Students receive the same devices and programs. As we can see from the student on the far right of picture one, they're still not able to access the game, or in our case, the curriculum, with just one crate. Again, they're being treated equally, but not equitable based on their needs. If we move to picture two, or an assistive technology approach, the focus is on providing students with their individual needs in order to access the curriculum. So in this case, the participants are trying to see the game. They're trying to participate in the experience. Here we see a reflection of equity. And then lastly, in picture three, or an example of universal design for learning, the systemic barrier, or the wooden fence, is removed. So all three individuals can see the game or access the curriculum. And so an important note to point out, sometimes students will not need additional supports. That is, if the curriculum is designed with a UDL framework. So even though we emphasize the differences of UDL, IT, and AT in the previous slide, the relationship of all three contribute to enhancing the learning experiences for all students. The developments and progress of various instructional technologies, such as accessibility options, and for example, text-to-speech that can assist students with low vision, have removed many barriers to instruction for students, which is the ultimate goal of universal design for learning. And we encourage all participants of this presentation to learn more about universal design for learning, instructional technology, and assistive technology by clicking on the links provided. So let's discuss some of the actions the NYCDOE has taken to support students and the overall community during remote and blended learning, and continues to work to provide. The DOE has distributed approximately 300,000 devices to students since we transitioned to remote learning. The DOE is also currently in the process of distributing an additional 100,000 devices. And in addition, schools themselves have provided devices to students from their inventory. So when we look at as a whole, the DOE has made great strides in closing the digital divide in providing devices to students who need them. In addition, as we all know, for remote learning, internet access is required. The DOE has provided devices that are LTE enabled and allow for hotspots for tethering to other devices. The DOE has also provided secure access to video conferencing platforms, such as Zoom, Meet, Microsoft Teams, to DOE staff and even non-DOE staff who are providing services to our students. The DOE is continually expanding access to instructional apps for student support. The DOE Help Desk has expanded to not only support DOE staff, but parents, families, and non-DOE staff, again, that are supporting DOE students. And finally, the Division of Instruction and Information Technology, or DIIT, has been working with the Special Education Office to enable access to device accessibility features and other specialized supports. So let's talk a little bit about these accessibility features. Accessibility features which are integrated in all of the computer or tablet operating systems shown here. They really do place students with disabilities on an equal footing with their non-disabled peers. Use of these accessibility features allows students to focus their energy on learning and empowering them to succeed. Again, we encourage the participants to click on each link for more information on the accessibility options available on each platform. One thing to note, Lindsay, if we can go back one slide, For some students, those that have access to these instructional technologies and the remote learning devices, and this is something that we'll reiterate during this presentation, these technologies can be added as students' assistive technology on their IEP. This is the case for students that requires accessibility options in either a computer or tablet to access the curriculum. Thank you, Lindsay. So we've already pointed out that there are hundreds of thousands of students now using remote learning devices. This is going to be a great opportunity and is a great opportunity for us to gather data to show how these students are using programs such as Google Suite, NewsELA, and others. As we reviewed in our baseball slide, digital does not equal accessible for all. This is a misconception. So just because a student has access to a computer or tablet or even digital text doesn't mean that they can access the curriculum. For some students, they require accessible educational materials, or AEM, which we will discuss more in depth in the next slide. And can we So as we have identified, the focus of UDL is on designing the learning environment to accommodate for all learners, those with and without disabilities. UDL is about providing flexible options for all students to succeed by, again, removing barriers to instruction. An example of a teacher designing a lesson with UDL in mind and providing students with flexible options include homework assignments, where one student may turn in their assignment in written form, another may turn in their assignment through typing, whereas another student may be allowed to create a vlog based upon their experience. Again, the expectations are the same for the students with and without disabilities, but the ways in which students are able to complete and engage with the assignment may be varied to leverage the student's strengths. So, as we have reviewed, even with access to instructional technology and participating in UDL environments, there may be students who require specific additional supports, such as what we discussed previously, accessible educational materials. And what are AEM? They are print and technology-based materials that allow students with print disabilities to access the curriculum. We have a new term, print disability. So what is a print disability? It's a difficulty or inability to read print and digital materials due to perceptual, physical, and visual disability. So an example that many of us are familiar with is dyslexia. Epic Books and Raz Kids are popular IT tools that can be used as AIM for students who currently have access to instructional technology or their RLDs, remote learning devices. But again, it's important to point out that these tools, they may not be enough for some students. Some students may need more robust support, such as access to Bookshare with CAPTI as an ebook reader. Another ebook reader option is Voice Dream Reader. So the question becomes, for this specific thing that we're discussing, when do we add assistive technology to the IEP in relation to AIM? So as many of us know, the IEP team is tasked with this question of whether or not a student needs AIM to access the curriculum. If AIM is required, then there needs to be an additional determination of the school's instructional technology or the programmatic supports within the school is sufficient, or if an AT device is necessary to support a student's AIM. This determination is based on the actual setting. So in District 75, we have programmatic access to tools. For example, Braille writers for students that require Braille, and CCTV screens for students with low vision. So the instructional tools may be supported within the setting. Whereas in District 1 through 32, depending on the availability of devices, an IEP team may need to recommend an AT device for a student to access their AIM.
Okay, so we're going to talk about assistive technology now. So technology is all around us. Our schools have laptops Chromebooks and iPads, and because of the pandemic, they're being utilized by everyone. These devices can be used with various accessibility functions, softwares, and/or apps for students with disabilities. However, assistive technology by definition is any item, piece of equipment, or product system that is used to improve a student's functional capabilities. So, how the AT teams provided support during remote and blended learning. We provided ongoing AT training and support to parents and school staff during remote and/or blended learning. We are currently supporting students that are participating in remote and blended learning models and accessing their curriculum using their assistive technology. So, under the direction of the New York City DOE leadership, assistive technology teams worked collaboratively with school-based teams to support and build capacity with the team to conduct school-based AT assessments for students. Training resources, direct support, as well as AT office hours to the supervisors of psychologists are being provided. This collaboration has been ongoing since prior to COVID, as we have provided numerous personal learning opportunities to all school-based clinicians. We just streamlined it to support the students in their current environment. So we quickly shifted everything for remote instruction or blended learning. In addition, the central AT teams are providing AT assessments for students with complex disabilities. We have partnered with non-DOE AT specialists to conduct in-person and remote assessments. And during the transition to remote learning, we continued to distribute AT and 504 equipment to students at their home. Currently, during the 2021 school year, we continue to distribute AT equipment directly, or 504 equipment, directly to students' families at their homes, schools, and/or alternative locations. So choosing AT is an IEP decision. It's collaborative. We must consider the least restrictive approach to accessing the curriculum. So after considering the current technologies in place, the school-based team can assess and determine AT supports the student may need. So low-tech, instructional technology, and universal design for learning should be the first steps considered when a student is having difficulty accessing the curriculum. If that doesn't work, then for the student with complex needs, the school-based team can request AT assessments to be conducted by the central AT team. So when we look at assistive technology considerations, IEP teams must consider the need for AT to access curriculum at every meeting. Our teams are currently collaborating with IEP teams using the SETS process for AT assessments, and we'll go into that. It's a process, and each step provides feedback that enables the team to support the student throughout the AT process of considering, assessing, feature matching, and implementation. It's a team approach. So the consideration and assessment process, you can see the circle continuum that goes from referral, information gathering, decision-making, trial, implementation if needed, and then consideration of AT. So when we're looking at the SETS framework, which is what we utilize for our evaluations, we look at the student environment task and tool. It was developed by Joy Zabala. You can click on that link at your leisure to learn more about it. But we look at the student. What is the functional area of concern? What are the special needs related to the concern? What is the student's strengths and abilities and the expectations of the student? Then we look at the environment. And this is really important because now the environment had changed. Where we were looking at just the environment in a school building, now we are also looking at the home environment. So we need to know the arrangement supports that are available not only in school, but also at home, and how the students can access. Then we look at the task, and that's what is the specific things that the student needs to be able to do. What is a task that the teacher or wants a student to do that they cannot do without the use of technology? What are the functional things that are that they're being actively involved or asked to do during remote or blended learning? And finally, we look at our AT toolkit. What can we use to get the student to access their curriculum? So there's many different types of assistive technology, from no tech to low tech to mid tech to high tech. And here's a variety of examples. You know, a note tech could be a pencil grip or highlighter or adaptive paper, slant board. You know, low tech can be a clear translucent eye gaze board. And then you can get to mid tech things like the reader pen or the calculator, or maybe a digital clock for time management. And then we get to our high tech options like laptops or applications on iPads or speech generating devices. So one of the things when we're looking in our toolkit, one of the domains we look at is communication. So for communication, augmentative and alternative communication is utilized when a student is either nonverbal, unintelligible, has limited verbal capabilities, or doesn't really have functional communication. So these are some of the tools in our toolkit. We have Prolo Quota Go, we have Snap Core First, Go Talk Now, LAMP Words for Life, Speak for Yourself, Touch Chat, and Talk Suite. So if you click on each of the pictures at your leisure, you can learn more about these tools, but we're going to highlight two of them right now. Snap Core First and Boardmaker 7, you can also go and visit the partner booth that is part of a Beyond Access Forum, but we're going to see a little snippet of Snap Core First.
I want to eat
So you can see where my fingers are pressing the icons
pizza.
and navigating.
I want to eat pizza.
Next, I'm going to go to quick phrases to say hello to people.
How's it going? Hi. How are you? I like to read. I like to read.
So one of the things that's unique about Snap Core First is that it's a communication system that integrates with accessible curriculum. So here's an example where you can be within the communication device and then go and access your curriculum.
I want to eat
This did the same thing, didn't it? Hold on.
pizza.
Sorry. Here.
I like to read.
So here you can see I'm going within the communication app next, going to the Boardmaker Student Center, and now I'm going to do a curriculum activity. Here's a schedule of what we're going to be doing in the classroom in the morning, a digital schedule.
1. Circle time. 2. Reading. 3. Break. 4. Art. 5. Lunch.
Okay, now I'm going to highlight LAMP's Word for Life and show you an example of another communication app.
I like to eat.
So you can see where I'm touching the
Cookie.
icons, and it's only
I like
two
to eat
locations
cookie.
because this app is motor planning and it's only navigating to 2
I
pages, where Snap Core First had many levels and many
Like
pages you can navigate to.
to
So you use motor memory to memorize where everything is located.
to the pool. I like to go to the pool.
Okay, so if you want to see any of the additional communication applications, you can click on the icon, the picture of the page set, and it will link to information about those different applications. So now when we're talking about reading and assistive technology for reading, these are some of the ones that we use: Bookshare, Dolphin, Learning Ally, Tar Heel Reader, and VoiceStream. So one of the things, Dolphin is a reading app for people who have dyslexia, low vision, and blindness. And if you want to learn more about it, you can click the icon. And Voice Dream Reader supports various document formats such as PDF, Microsoft Suite, Google Suite, and it's available in various languages. And Tar Heel Reader is simplified digital books for beginning readers, and it will also link. But one of the really cool things I wanted to highlight too, reading AT apps is Bookshare, which partnered with the New York City Department of Education. And there are almost 1 million titles. We're getting there. And this is free for all New York City students, as long as they have the disabilities, learning disabilities that impact access to print, vision impairments, blindness, or physical disabilities. So this is a page that I linked up that you can sign up for your schools. And the books are categorized by New York City core curriculum, by Teachers College, Fountas and Pinnell, Lexile level, and there's a bunch of quick guides and guides and tutorials here. Now, Learning Ally, you can also visit. They're one of our partner vendors during the Beyond Access Forum, and here's a little video showing how Learning Ally is utilized. They had a session earlier. So this is, instead of digitized books like Bookshare, this is actually human voice. And it can read pictures, which is really fabulous.
Treehouse Comics proudly presents Early One Morning. Clank. Clank.
But that is not all. Oh no.
So this
that
is really
not all.
important because some of our kids can't comprehend or
Look
listen
at-
to a book with a
look at me.
computerized
Look at me now.
voice. So
It
it's
is
really
fun to
important that
have
Learning
fun,
Ally
but you
gives
have to know how.
human
I
voice,
can
because
hold
some
up
of our
the cup
kids,
and the
you know,
milk and the
process
cake.
better
I
when
can
they have
hold up
human
these
voice.
books and the fish on a rake. I can hold the
And if you want more information about any of these, you can click on the icons. And again, please visit Learning Ally. They are in the vendor portal and the vendor booth for Beyond Access.
Thank
Take it
you
away,
so much,
David.
Lindsay and David, for all of these. These are all in the QR code that folks have access to, correct?
Yes.
That's right. And then Jose, each one has a link directly on the picture for more information.
Great. We have 2 minutes left before we have to wrap up. So I want to give you all a chance to give
only
any
have,
closing
like,
thoughts.
We have like 2 more slides. We're almost done.
But I also
Yeah.
want to give you another chance to throw up the QR code again, because people have been asking for it in the chat.
Okay.
Okay.
All
right,
So,
can we
go
just,
if you want to go
Lindsay,
through them really quickly, but just close out with the
we
QR
just,
code.
right, instead of going through the apps that we're going to demonstrate, can we just show the actual slide? So these are some of the writing tools that we have in our toolbox. We were going to be demonstrating Co-Writer Universal and SnapType Pro.
And Co-Writer is also here if you want to see more information.
That's right. We've been working with Co-Writer quite a bit. And the one thing to point out, it's in that name, Co-Writer Universal, is that especially during these times of remote learning, using applications that are in fact universal, which means if a student is working on an assignment at school on a device and they forget their device at school, but there's a device at home, they can continue doing that work because their information and their account is cloud-based. Certainly an important thing to point out with any of the products that we're using with our students today. So that was writing, and then and these are some of the math tools, again, that we use in our toolbox. We were gonna highlight ModMath, but
You actually do have
everyone
some time. I got it wrong. We have 15 minutes.
That's what I thought.
Ah.
Jose. Okay. I'm going to show you.
Okay,
I
all
thought I got nervous.
So
okay.
let's
Co-Writer.
actually show Co-Writer because we have a
Yeah.
nice screencast. We were going to highlight the 2 features of Co-Writer that besides the fact that it's universal, the
went
topic dictionary. So Lindsay's going through
to
and she's showing you word
the
prediction, but a unique
aquarium.
feature of universal Co-Writer and Co-Writer in general is that, say, for example, a
I
student
saw
goes to the aquarium.
a
A
lot
teacher can turn on specific topic dictionaries,
Fish.
which means
I-
that the words associated with that dictionary are easily generated and predicted.
Liked. Seeing.
Okay. So
And
that's
you're seeing that here.
okay.
That's Universal
Dolphin.
Co-Writer.
I liked seeing the dolphin.
And then here is, so again, co-writer and Snap and Reader Don Johnston, and they're here. And here,
yes.
and Snap Type.
SnapType Pro is an application that our teams recommend quite a bit, and it's a simple application. You're able to use the iPad's camera, take a picture of a worksheet, makes that worksheet digital. What you're seeing here is now a student can actually look at that word bank and type directly into those fields. If you could scroll down a little bit, Lindsay will show an example of what that looks like. Okay, and that's one form of being able to input the answer. But if you scroll down, again, this is just emphasizing that you can adjust that text size. But an additional thing that you could do is you can use speech to text, or you can dictate your answers onto that worksheet. And lastly, what we're demonstrating here is students that have graphomotor issues. Maybe they have issues with legibility, or maybe they have some challenges typing on a screen. They can also use the pen function of the tool to circle answers. So SnapType Pro is, again, it's one of our products that we recommend quite a bit for students with writing challenges. And then,
Go ahead.
sorry, Jose, were you going to say something?
No,
Oh,
we're
sorry.
all good.
Okay, thank you.
You have 10 minutes before I jump in again. And
Okay. So again, these are some of the other tools that we recommend to support writing. Please do click on the links. Please do visit the partner vendor booths for more information. And so as we transition from writing to math, again, these are just a variety of the AT supports that we provide students. One that we'd like to highlight is ModMath. And ModMath is it's a basic digital math paper. It can assist students with organizational challenges, including those that have some issues with lining up numbers, and can be beneficial for students with graphomotor issues, those students that maybe have some challenges with legible handwriting, and challenges with holding writing tools. And then,
So here's an example.
This is an example that we'll show you.
There's no voice output to this, but you can see it's digital graph paper. So if a child can't motorically write on regular graph paper, this can get larger and smaller, and you can do any mathematical equation, and then it will app smash into your notes, or you can email it or put it in a Google Doc or Microsoft Word or whatever you need to do.
Lindsay, which one of these are free? Or are they all paid math?
So we're going to show you the free one in a minute.
Thank you.
We're just getting to that. So
Free is very important, right?
So this is free. Everybody take notes. So one of the things, we have a couple more minutes. One of the things that I forgot to say about communication, the communication app that's free is SnapCore First is free for all speech language pathologists who have an ASHA number. And I believe Go and Talk Now has a free version, and TalkSuite has a new TalkSuite builder that's free.
That's right. And Lindsay, I was on a little earlier, and the previous presenter was demonstrating Sounding Board through AbleNet.
Yes,
that's also a free product for communication.
Bookshare is free for all New York City Department of Education students. And now free here, I don't think anything is free, but these are generally very inexpensive. But here it's free.
Since we demonstrated SnapType, SnapType Pro is about $5, $4.99.
Yeah, it's really inexpensive.
The last time I checked, so it's a great tool and low cost.
And here's free. So Read and Write and Unquatio, you get a free premium license if you're a teacher. So everybody can go out on the website and sign up for their free license to use with your students.
Yes, and then someone pointed out there's SnapType and SnapType Pro. I just saw that in the chat. There is a free version of SnapType. that can be downloaded.
And again, if you press any of the links, this will take you to see the different math applications or programs.
So hi, this is Colleen. I
Yeah.
just want to clarify, there's questions about adding these to remote devices. So these are assistive technology tools, and usually these are tools we recommend for students that have been evaluated for assistive technology that need this to support them in order for them to access their curriculum. So these are not tools that are usually going to show up on the remote learning devices. And they cannot download them. So if a school decides to choose to have Learning Ally on purchase Learning Ally for all their students to use instructionally, then that school can make the purchase and then go through the SPOC to ask the IIT to load Learning Ally onto the remote learning devices for those students in their domain. So I just want to clarify, these tools are not necessarily, something that we would say, you should just have this for all your students. It's kind of, we're showing it in a perspective of assistive technology. So thank you.
I think that's a good point, Colleen. The tools to support children who have assistive technology listed in their IEPs. And it's not just like, while all students and every person could benefit from assistive technology, and from no tech to high tech, what we're talking about today is specifically to support students with IEPs.
Yeah, and Jose, I would just add, so all students, those with and without disabilities, just to reference the beginning of our presentation, can benefit from universal design for learning, which can include technology tools. But as you were saying, and as Colleen was providing, specific supports for specific students, that would be assistive technology. And as Colleen was saying, those tools would need to be added to a student's IEP.
Okay. So you want to talk about executive functioning quickly?
Yes. So yes, executive functioning. Again, these are some of the tools that we recommend. Just a little word on executive functioning. This really refers to our mental skills, or the ability to use our working memory and the ability to stay organized. So these are some of the apps that we recommend. And the one that we would like to highlight, and this is free, is Google Keep. So it's a Google-based free app. It helps students stay organized, allows students to record homework assignments. It's linked to a student's Google account. So again, it's a universal product. It can be accessible on all types of devices, computers, tablets, and smartphones. It provides for color coding features, for categorization. You can set reminders and task completion. And then the notes can be photos. They can be text notes. You can use dictation for notes, and you can even draw your notes if that's your preference.
So every New York City student now either has Google, if they have a Google domain at their school, or that each student has access to the New York City Department of Education Google domain also. So they would be able to get Google as a free resource. Again, if you want to see any of these other things, you can touch on them and it will link to more information about the program, software, or app or tool. And we're just going to close out with some resources. You can click on these links for information on assistive technology. There's a reference guide for students with disabilities, District 75's guide for families, and the New York City Department of Education Info Hub for DOE staff. And if you need to contact us, here's our contact information. I'm going to go through this quickly so we can get back to the QR code. This is for both teams, and here's additional contact information for our special education office, our general assistive technology office for CAPSEAM email, and our general District 75 assistive technology email. And now I'm going to go back to the beginning so you guys, people that came in at the end, can get the QR code. And if we have any questions, Jose, we have 5 minutes. So So people who don't know what this is, again, it's a QR reader. And if you have an iPhone, you just have to open your camera and it will connect you to Safari to a PDF of our presentation. If you have Google, an Android phone, it will be the Lens application, and all the on the PDF, all the links where you see blue hyperlinked, or all the pictures of the apps are linked to more information.
Thank you, Colleen, for dropping that link in the chat, because not everyone, we want to recognize that not everyone might have smartphone capability. But there is a question about once a child has something outlined in their IEP and a technology has been recommended for them, how do they go about getting that on their device? Is that something that's managed through the assistive technology teams?
Yes.
Or is that something they go through DIIT?
Everything right now is managed through the assistive technology team. So if it's IEP mandated assistive technologies, it will be procured and managed by the both central AT teams.
David, this one's for you. For a D75 student that would benefit from a specific AT program, such as a co-writer, can it be added to the IEP, or do they require formal evaluations before adding?
It would depend on the IEP team. If the student requires universal co-writer, that means they would actually need a device to utilize that program. So yes, it would require an evaluation if the student does not already have assistive technology on their IEP.
I think the takeaway here, folks, is that, you know, if you suspect that one of your students requires assistive technology to make education possible for them and learning possible for them, then it never hurts to ask the question, right? Because then your AT professionals, whether you're in a D132 school, the CAT team, or whether you're in District 75 Tech Solutions, can help guide you through the process and say, you know, yeah, let's get an evaluation going, or actually here's some interventions that you could use that don't require an IP mandate.
Right, and Jose, those are some great points that you're pointing out. Because even with that question about universal co-writer and whether or not it should go onto the student's IEP, I think the first thing you would do is have a conversation with the teacher related service, the IEP team, to find out what types of supports are already being utilized at the school level. And then together with the IEP team, they can make a determination, again, from that SETS framework that we were talking about, where you're looking at the environment, you're looking at the available tools at the school to see if in fact an evaluation for assistive technologies is required.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Lindsay and David, again. Thank you, Colleen, for supporting in the chat throughout the session. And thank you for everyone who joined. For anyone who's been here for more than one session, thank you for making the special ed track such a success. We'll see you all in the closing in a couple of minutes.
Yes.